Hello everybody, welcome to Elite Wine TV.
Hello everybody, welcome to Elite Wine TV. Hello everybody, welcome to Elite Wine TV. I'm your host Mark Fusco here for another episode of the show, and continuing the tour of Texas, or the recap of my tour of Texas, we're going to move over to Spicewood Vineyards. This was actually the first winery that I visited during the whole trip, I'd been to this winery before a couple years ago on one of those like tours that you take. You meet up somewhere and you get in the big, not the big, but you get in like the little charter bus type of thing or big van, kind of like the rental car companies have. Drive out in the middle of nowhere in Texas and go visit some wineries. So this was one of the ones we went to, and a few things that I want to talk about real quick. Okay, I used this book kind of as a little reference, kind of a guide to just help me decide where I wanted to go my first Texas trip. The information is a little outdated, like I talked about in the Fall Creek interviews, but it still has the majority of the wine. A lot of the wineries there. I've got some great information, kind of an idea where it is. So if you are looking for a good starter book on the wine roads or about Texas, get this: The Wine Roads of Texas. You can actually see a little bit better than the other one. It's by Wes Marshall, and do that. The other thing, if you're a local Texan or if you're coming in to visit, get yourself one of these little passports. The Texas Wine Trail or Texas Wine Passport. And what you do is you get it stamped at the wineries. For every 4, you get some type of reward level. I've only just now actually got some of these stamps, so check it out. If you Google "Go Texan" and put wine, you'll find out everything you need to know about this. But let's see what. We should have GoTexanWine.org is the place to check out. All right, so what wine are we going to have today? We're going to have the 2009 Spicewood Vineyards Touriga Nacional. Now, this is one of those grape varietals that you don't really hear a whole heck of a lot from, at least American wineries. But as Texas winemakers are starting to figure out, even though Ed was saying that you can grow the traditional Bordeaux varietals, which you can, but Texas winemakers are starting to figure out that maybe the Bordeaux varietals are not the ones that they need to necessarily key in on. Maybe hit some of the Spanish and Portuguese wines. And what some of the winemakers, not this particular one, but we'll talk about when we get to that, even Ed, Ed, when he traveled around Spain, noticed that the interior of Spain was very much like Texas. So when people said, well, you can't grow grapes in Texas, yes, you can. Okay, and some of the other winemakers are seeing that there's a lot of similarities between Spain and Texas, and so they're trying to use some of those varietals. Tempranillo is another one, which when we had the Fall Creek Tempranillo, it was spectacular. I really liked it, and I cannot wait for the 2010 to come out. So Spicewood Vineyards Touriga Nacional 2009, $25.99 at the winery. So it's not cheap, by the way. It's 100% Touriga Nacional. Texas Hill Country is the appellation. So let's check it out. All right. First of all, color depth. It's pretty deep. I even call it dark. It's got. It's pretty dark. I'm going to call it, honestly, I'm going to call it kind of purplish. Not really garnet. So we'll go dark purple, and it's clear. All right. Aroma intensity. It was it's pretty aromatic, and if I didn't know better, I would think it might be a little bit aged, but it doesn't smell aged. But I wouldn't peg it as only being a couple years. I wouldn't peg it as a 2009. I'd probably add another year or two to it. All right, so what are we getting on the nose? You know, I'm getting some smoke, but like this caramel type of thing, like burnt sugar. You know, when you're caramelizing something, you get that little burnt sugar, like a burnt sugar smell. That's what it is. Because I couldn't figure out what it was when I was at the winery, and I could smell that. But kind of like caramel, and kind of like, you know, yes, caramel. Interesting. So let's try it out. So it's dry. I really think it's kind of a light-bodied wine. It's not really medium-bodied. It's kind of light-bodied. It's got a bit of acidity. I'm going to call it kind of smooth. That's just my impression of it. Yeah, kind of smooth. Tannins. This is where we're gonna really delve into this a little bit. They're medium-bodied tannins, but the type, they're kind of, I would say they're kind of round. There's a bit of roundness to it. I mean, they are dry, but it's kind of a roundness to it. I'm gonna call the balance. I'm going to call it a good balance on this one. And the flavor intensity, I'm going to say it's pretty flavorful. There we go. Now we're starting to get a little more efficient on stuff here. Let's talk about the flavors. I still get a bit of that burnt sugar flavor, but I'm also getting kind of wood. Okay, now it is aged 9 months, which I'd have to look at the. See, on their website, they don't really have their website completely finished, but on their tasting notes, they've got how much time is spent in oak, and if I remember right, it was 9 months. And nope, that's not it. Gotta go a little bit farther back, and it's right here. It's on this one. Let's see, 9 months in 40% New American and 20% in one Old American oak, and 40% neutral oak. Now let's talk about their tasting notes. Paprika, violet, smoked cedar. Okay, I'll get the smoked cedar. I got that. Plum and smoked meat. You know what? There is that smokiness, and I guess kind of that barbecue type of. Kind of that barbecue-y type of flavor, and I would say dark red fruits, maybe not necessarily plum. And you've got a bit of sweetness at the very end. It's a medium finish. I mean, I really like this wine. I mean, I know it's a $26 bottle of wine, so it should be not outstanding spectacular, but it needs to be better than kind of your typical bottle of wine. I would score this in the high 80s if I was going to score it, which I'm going to score it. I would say it's probably a high 80s wine. I'd probably put about an 88. You know, it's one of those things, this is going to be one of those things where it's hard when you're talking about the other 46 as far as wines, and even when you're talking about the big four in some cases, in price and value, what you're getting. It's a $26 bottle of wine. It's a varietal that's not used a lot in the United States. It's something that they've tried out, that they're getting some success. You know, they feel they're successful on at the winery. $26. It's probably a little bit high priced, in my opinion. However, they got to pay. You know, they got to pay the electric bill. Okay. If it was, I hate to say $10 cheaper, but if it was a few dollars cheaper, I would give it a higher recommendation. But at the same time, I recommend getting the wine. If you can spend $26 on it, do it. If you're like, man, that's a lot of money to spend on a bottle of wine of a varietal I'm not very familiar with, then I would say stay away from it. You know, go to something else that they make at the winery that's a little more traditional. I've had some of their other wines at the day I went, and the last time I went. I think they're all very well made wines, and you can find some wines in the kind of the mid, you know, that $15 to $18 range that you'd be more comfortable buying. This is a wine where you're like, man, I really want to try this out, what Texas is going to do with it, and you are going to spend a little bit for it. You know, with that said, I think it's an 88-point wine. I'll even go 89. It's almost, I think, 89 point. Definitely, you know, this is up your style of wine. Seek it out if you're in the Texas area. Go to the website if you're able to order it from them. It doesn't look like they're able to really do ordering yet, but they do have a wine club that you can join. And I know I get emails from them, so check them out. That's going to do it for today. Remember, I got the recommendations, and stop by the website, donate, and tell your friends about it. I mean, I've been getting a lot more views lately. Now that I've been back, it's been great, and we'll see everybody again next time.